Lil Baby reacting to prison sentence. The serious allegations connecting Atlanta superstar Lil Baby to a tragic shooting that claimed the lives of two teenage boys don't seem to be dying down soon.
The investigation aspect of this, Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life.
The feds seem intent on slapping a RICO on Lil Baby, and once the feds are out to get you, it's long days.
Gang violence that was orchestrated by adults in our city, and cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper.
The question on everyone's mind, could these allegations potentially lead to jail time for one of rap's biggest stars? Let's break it all down. The tragic incident and the rapper's connection. In July 2024, a horrific tragedy occurred in Atlanta that shook the entire community. Two 13-year-old boys, Lamon Freeman and Jacody Davis, were killed in a shooting at Sparks Apartments on Spark Street, SW in Atlanta. An 11-year-old boy, Dontavius Davis, was also shot but survived with injuries to his foot. What made this incident particularly heartbreaking was that one of the victims, Lamon Freeman, had just celebrated his 13th birthday minutes before the shooting occurred. In February 2025, nearly 7 months after this tragedy, the Atlanta Police Department held a press conference that would send ripples through the music industry. During this press conference, police officials made some startling claims about an unnamed Atlanta-based rapper whose actions they believed had contributed to the violence that claimed these young lives. Let's listen to Major Ralph Woolfolk of the Atlanta Police Department at that press conference. The investigation aspect of this Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence was orchestrated by adults in our city, and cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings and ultimately the deaths of two children as a result of his cowardly actions, and you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions. These were powerful accusations. Police were essentially claiming that an Atlanta rapper's decision to film a music video in rival gang territory had sparked a chain of violence that ultimately led to the deaths of children. But who exactly were they talking about? While police officials declined to name the rapper directly during the press conference, saying they didn't want to compromise their ongoing investigation, the mystery didn't last long. Within a day, local news outlet Channel 2 Action News obtained arrest warrants confirming that the rapper in question was Dominique Jones, better known as Lil Baby. So, what exactly happened? According to the information that has come to light, this story begins back in May 2024. Lil Baby was filming a music video in an area of Atlanta that police say was controlled by a gang called OMF, Only My Family. This area was reportedly hostile territory to the 4PF, Four Pockets Full label, which was founded by Lil Baby and has been characterized by police as a gang. During this video shoot, violence erupted, with 3 men aged 23, 24, and 27 being shot, though all survived their injuries. Lil Baby himself was not injured in the incident. According to police, this shooting was just the beginning of an escalating conflict between 4PF and OMF, which they describe as a subset of the Goodfellas gang. By July 2024, this conflict had allegedly escalated significantly. When the shooting that killed the two teenagers occurred, police investigations linked it to retaliatory actions stemming from the ongoing gang feud. According to arrest warrants, 2 vehicles, a white Nissan Maxima and a gray Nissan sedan, pulled up at the apartment complex, and multiple shooters opened fire using heavy weaponry. What makes this case particularly complex is that authorities have alleged that one of the arrested individuals, Keontae Midnight Sanders, was already incarcerated at Hancock State Prison but was coordinating actions using contraband cell phones. Police claim that Sanders and other gang members were targeting someone with close connections to Lil Baby, but instead ended up shooting the teenagers. In a bizarre twist, the investigation also uncovered that Sanders had allegedly planned to extort Lil Baby for $5 million upon his release from prison, suggesting that the rapper was both indirectly blamed for the violence and potentially a target himself. The Breakfast Club discussed these confusing allegations extensively.
I still don't know if, was the video being shot? No, listen, was the video being shot while somebody else was getting shot?
I don't know, no. So they shot a music video, after the music video, and the music video was shot. So he was already gone. Yeah, Baby was not there. Okay, yes, he was not there, but his video was shot. Rival gang neighborhood. This is what police are alleging because that video was shot. It had an effect, right? So now the two gangs are right, or they're mad at each other, and it was already a gang war going on. This discussion highlights the confusion surrounding these allegations. Police aren't claiming that Lil Baby personally committed these shootings or even ordered them. Rather, they're suggesting that his decision to film a music video in rival territory created a chain reaction of violence that ultimately led to these deaths. In February 2025, Atlanta police announced the arrest of 7 individuals connected to the July 2024 shooting: Keontae Sanders, Richard Hollis, Reginald Thomas, DeKeithian Mobley, Marcus Crawford, Traden Crawford, and Ali Caldwell. These individuals are facing direct charges for their alleged roles in the shootings. But what about Lil Baby? Despite the strong language from Major Woolfolk and his name appearing in warrants related to the case, as of April 2025, he has not been formally charged with any crimes related to these shootings. The warrants mentioning him appear to be establishing context rather than listing specific charges against him personally. For his part, Lil Baby has denied any involvement in these tragic events. Shortly after the police press conference, he took to Instagram writing, "Thanks for all the concerns. Please don't be misinformed by fake news. I'm overly good." This brief statement seemed designed to reassure fans that he wasn't facing imminent arrest, despite the circulating rumors. His legal team, including attorneys Drew Findling and Marissa Goldberg, released a more detailed statement to the media, calling the police's reference to Lil Baby complete and total nonsense. They specifically challenged the notion that their client should be held responsible for violence stemming from a music video location. To say that he couldn't shoot a music video in his hometown, a place that he loves and has continued to uplift, is disgraceful. Even more, the location for a major music video shoot is a decision made by a professional team and is not a decision made by any individual. To understand the full picture of Lil Baby's current situation and whether these allegations could potentially lead to jail time, we need to examine his previous history with the law and the specific legal challenges prosecutors would face in bringing charges against him. A troubled past and the legal landscape. To fully understand Lil Baby's current legal situation, we need to look at his history with the law, which began long before he became a household name in hip-hop. Born Dominique Armani Jones in Atlanta's Oakland City neighborhood, Lil Baby's path to music stardom wasn't a straight line. Before the Grammy nominations and chart-topping hits, he had significant encounters with the criminal justice system that shaped his early life. According to various reports, Lil Baby served approximately 2 to 3 years in prison around 2014 to 2016 for drug and weapon charges. This incarceration proved to be a turning point in his life, as it was during this time that he began focusing on music as a potential career path. In a 2020 interview with NPR, Lil Baby reflected on his prison experience, confirming that he'd been incarcerated roughly 4 years prior to that conversation, which aligns with the 2016 release date. Following his release, he launched his music career with his debut mixtape Perfect Timing in 2017, marking the beginning of his rapid rise in the hip-hop industry. Since achieving fame, Lil Baby has had several other brushes with the law, though none as serious as his pre-fame incarceration. In February 2019, he was arrested in Atlanta for reckless driving, eluding police, and failure to signal. After being detained, he was released on bond and expressed frustration with law enforcement on social media. In July 2021, during an international trip, Lil Baby found himself in legal trouble when he was detained in France during Paris Fashion Week for allegedly transporting drugs. He was cited for possession of cannabis, paid a fine, and was subsequently released without major consequences. More recently, and perhaps most significantly, in August 2024, Lil Baby was arrested in Las Vegas for carrying a concealed weapon without a permit, which is classified as a felony in Nevada. This arrest occurred on August 26, 2024, at approximately 5 a.m. on the Las Vegas Strip. He was released after posting a $5,000 bond and was assigned a court date of October 1st, 2024. An interesting detail about this Las Vegas case is that Lil Baby's attorneys, Drew Findling and David Chesnoff, stated that he possessed a valid Georgia concealed carry permit, which Nevada does not recognize. This suggests that Lil Baby may have believed he was legally carrying the weapon based on his Georgia permit. As of April 2025, there are no clear updates on the resolution of this Las Vegas case, leaving uncertainty about whether charges were dropped or pursued further. Now let's turn back to the current allegations linking Lil Baby to the Atlanta gang violence. To understand whether these allegations could lead to jail time, we need to examine what specific charges prosecutors might bring and what evidence they would need to prove such charges. The most important factor to consider is that As of April 2025, Lil Baby has not been formally charged with any crimes in relation to these shootings. His name appears in arrest warrants, but primarily in a contextual capacity rather than as someone directly accused of specific crime. For prosecutors to bring charges against Lil Baby, they would need to establish a clear legal theory of culpability. Based on the public statements from law enforcement, they seem to be suggesting that by filming a music video in rival gang territory, Lil Baby recklessly or knowingly set in motion a chain of events that led to violence. However, establishing criminal liability based on this premise would be extremely challenging for several reasons, as discussed by DJ Envy and Charlamagne Tha God on The Breakfast Club. Insert clip from 5:15-5:22. I don't understand. And I think because he was there, they're gonna link it to him like, how do I do a shoot a music video? Right. It's not against the law like where you see people shoot videos at funeral places and things like that. Like it's foul, it's wrong. But is it against the law? No, I don't know. This sentiment highlights a crucial legal obstacle, establishing that a lawful activity, filming a video, could make someone criminally responsible for subsequent violence committed by others, would require proving a level of intent or foreseeability that would be difficult to demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt. Another significant legal challenge is the time gap between the May 2024 video shoot and the July 2024 shootings. The more time that passes between an alleged provocative act and resultant violence, the harder it becomes to prove that the initial act was the proximate cause of the harm. Lil Baby's defense has focused on several key arguments. First, his attorneys have emphasized that decisions about music video locations are typically made by production teams rather than the artist alone. This diffusion of responsibility creates additional challenges in pinpointing criminal liability. Second, they've highlighted Lil Baby's connection to and investment in Atlanta, positioning him as someone committed to uplifting his community rather than endangering it. They noted that he was devastated by the situation, pointing out that the young victims came from his own neighborhood. There is, however, one potential legal approach that might be more viable for prosecutors: a RICO case. RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act laws, were designed to target organized criminal enterprises and allow prosecutors to hold leadership figures responsible for crimes committed by organization members, even if the leaders didn't directly participate in those specific acts. Atlanta has a history of using RICO statutes against rappers and their associates, most notably in the ongoing case against Young Thug and YSL. If authorities consider 4PF a criminal organization, rather than just a record label, they might attempt to build a RICO case that encompasses multiple alleged criminal acts, potentially including the violence stemming from the video shoot. But even a RICO approach would face significant hurdles. Prosecutors would need to prove that 4PF primarily exists as a criminal enterprise rather than a legitimate business, that Lil Baby maintains a leadership role within it, and that there's a pattern of criminal activity directly connected to the organization. Notably, Lil Baby rebranded 4PF to Glass Window Entertainment in December 2024, which could complicate efforts to establish an ongoing criminal enterprise. This timing, shortly before the February 2025 allegations, has raised questions about whether the rebranding was coincidental or a strategic business decision. La Rosa from The Breakfast Club provided more context about this rebranding and the gang allegations. Are y'all so yesterday we talked about Lil Baby? You guys had a lot of questions in the room that I couldn't answer at the time because of what was given via the police press conference, so Fox 5 Atlanta has actually retrieved the arrest warrant. So remember I told you guys that yesterday in that press conference when they called out the rapper who they say they're gonna make sure, has these consequences because of the part that this person played and what they're now calling this game war that resulted in multiple deaths. And then there was this arrest warrant that had Dominique Jones's name and in Dominique Jones's Lil Baby. So that linked him to this conversation. So Fox 5 Atlanta went and retrieved the arrest warrant theirself, and they are now saying that after seeing this arrest warrant, they're able to specifically point to the other gang yesterday in that press conference. The police only named one gang, OMF, Only My Family. But according to this arrest warrant for PF, which is Four Pockets Full, which we know at one time was Baby's label, it was a crew that he was running around with until he changed the name of the label back in 2024. It's a Glass Window Entertainment. It's also being named as the opposing gang in this rivalry that the police are alleging is going down. Fan reactions to these allegations have been predominantly supportive of Lil Baby, with many questioning the fairness of holding him responsible for others' violent actions. On social media platform X, formerly Twitter, users expressed skepticism about the police narrative, with comments like, "So since y'all can't control y'all city, it's Lil Baby fault. And arrest him for what? Why aren't they finding the shooter?" Some fans have speculated that authorities might be building a RICO case against Lil Baby and his associates, while others have suggested he might have grounds for a defamation lawsuit against law enforcement for publicly linking him to these deaths without filing formal charges. And Lil Baby wouldn't be the first victim of a RICO case coming out of thin air. Comparable cases and future implications. To better understand the potential legal outcomes for Lil Baby, it's helpful to examine comparable cases involving other high-profile rappers who have faced allegations connecting them to gang violence or criminal organizations. Perhaps the most relevant parallel is the ongoing YSL RICO case against Young Thug and his associates. Beginning in 2022, Young Thug, Jeffrey Williams, was indicted along with multiple co-defendants on RICO charges, with prosecutors alleging that his Young Slime Life record label was actually a criminal street gang responsible for numerous violent crimes. Young Thug has remained in jail awaiting trial for over 2 years, demonstrating the serious potential consequences of such charges. However, there are significant differences between Young Thug's case and Lil Baby's situation. The YSL indictment included specific allegations that Young Thug had directly ordered hits and was personally involved in criminal conspiracies. The current public information about Lil Baby suggests authorities view his role as more indirect, provocative perhaps, but not directly ordering or participating in violence. Another instructive example is Bobby Shmurda, who was arrested in 2014 on conspiracy and weapons charges related to his alleged leadership of the GS9 gang. Shmurda ultimately accepted a plea deal and served 7 years in prison before being released in 2021. His case demonstrates how lyrics and music videos can be used as evidence in gang-related prosecutions, though recent rap music on trial legislation in some states has begun to limit this practice. More recently, in March 2022, rapper YFN Lucci, Rayshawn Bennett, was indicted on RICO charges related to alleged gang activity. Like the allegations against Lil Baby, the YFN Lucci case involved complex questions about the relationships between music labels, street gangs, and individual responsibility for violence. However, in Lucci's case, prosecutors alleged direct participation in criminal acts, which doesn't appear to be the case with Lil Baby based on currently available information. So what are the potential legal outcomes for Lil Baby in this situation? Several scenarios seem possible. The first and perhaps most likely scenario is that no charges are filed against Lil Baby personally. In this case, the 7 individuals already arrested would face prosecution for the shootings, while Lil Baby might be referenced as a contextual figure in the conflict, but not as a defendant. The legal threshold for establishing criminal liability based on the indirect connection proposed by police would be extraordinarily high, likely too high to meet the beyond a reasonable doubt standard required for criminal conviction. A second possibility is that Lil Baby faces limited charges related to the conflict, such as criminal association or obstruction, rather than direct charges for the shootings. Even in this scenario, given his resources and high-profile legal team, he might be able to negotiate a plea deal that avoids significant jail time. The third and most severe scenario would be inclusion in a broader RICO indictment targeting 4PF as a criminal organization. This would represent the greatest legal danger to Lil Baby and could potentially result in substantial prison time if he were convicted. However, based on the current public information, this scenario appears less likely than the others, particularly given the apparent focus on the 7 individuals already arrested for direct involvement in the shootings. One of the complicating factors in this case is the unusual detail uncovered in the investigation regarding plans to extort Lil Baby. As reported by Fox 5 Atlanta, one of the arrested individuals, Keontae Sanders, allegedly planned to extort Lil Baby for $5 million upon his release from prison. This suggests that Lil Baby was viewed as a potential target, as well as an alleged instigator, further muddying the waters around his role in the conflict. La Rosa from The Breakfast Club elaborated on this extortion plot. So I'm just one last question to who tried to extort Lil Baby, allegedly. So allegedly one of the opposing gang members who's like higher ranking in the gang. He was telling his girlfriend on one of the recorded calls that he planned to receive. He was seeking revenge on Baby. Like I mentioned earlier, and part of that was going to be to extort him for $5 million when he came home from prison. I don't know what the extortion would be like, what he was going to try hang over his head, but that was what they recovered from these phones. And It's why I don't talk to me. This extortion angle could potentially strengthen Lil Baby's defense, as it complicates the narrative that he was simply an instigator of conflict. Instead, it suggests a more complex relationship where he might have been both a perceived rival and a potential victim. Regardless of the legal outcome, these allegations could significantly impact Lil Baby's career trajectory. His recent rebranding of 4PF to Glass Window Entertainment suggests an awareness of the potential business implications of gang associations. Corporate partners, concert promoters, and other industry stakeholders may become more hesitant to work with artists perceived as connected to violent incidents, particularly those involving children. On the other hand, Lil Baby has demonstrated remarkable resilience throughout his career. His rise from prison to superstardom already shows an ability to overcome significant obstacles. His strong fan base, many of whom view the current allegations as unfair scapegoating, will likely continue to support him regardless of these controversies. It's worth noting that in the hip-hop community, there's often skepticism about how law enforcement agencies target and characterize rappers, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds. The Breakfast Club hosts expressed this skepticism when discussing the allegations.
Those are some heavy allegations to put on somebody just because they went to shoot a music video someplace.
However, it's crucial not to lose sight of the human tragedy at the center of this story. Two 13-year-old children, Layman Freeman and Jacody Davis, lost their lives in this violence, with Freeman barely having celebrated his birthday for half an hour before being killed. Another child was injured. Whatever the legal outcomes of this case, these deaths represent an irreversible loss to their families and community. So could Lil Baby end up in jail? Based on the currently available information, it appears unlikely that he will face incarceration solely for his alleged role in sparking the gang conflict through the music video shoot. The legal barriers to establishing criminal liability based on this indirect connection would be substantial. However, if additional evidence not yet publicly disclosed exists, or if prosecutors pursue a broader RICO case against 4PF, the situation could become more legally precarious for the rapper. As this story continues to unfold, we'll be keeping a close eye on developments and providing updates. But if you want to find out more right now, hit the video on your screen right now and let's keep going.